come and take a seat while I bring the heat. I'm your host with the most. My name is Dizzy, and I'm definitely going to keep you busy. Greetings, Earthlings, grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, wherever you are in the world, whatever time you're hearing this, whatever time you're seeing this. Welcome to another episode of Sit Down Sundays. And you know what? We always have special guests, and we've evolved. So one of our guests, Ghazala Jabeen, the number one marketing machine, the Bollywood machine, the energetic genie that has graced us with World Transformation. Well, I said to her, I said, do you have anyone interesting that we can have on our show? And she goes, I've got just the lady. So a big, warm World Transformation organization. Welcome to Karen. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. I love the flames. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
That's great. So look, I know when Ghazala says, I've got somebody exciting, and the very little interaction we had, I got excited. So Karen, why don't you tell everybody what you're about? Because I know you said you have a very unique, you said to me, Dizzy, my story is very unique. And I was like, okay, let's go.
It is.
By the way, I love your glasses.
Okay. Thank you. So I am from London, Ontario, Canada. I call myself your girl next door. You know, I grew up, and we're going to talk about that story just a little bit. But my story isn't, quote, normal. Not at all. So I was born in 1961. I'm 60 years old. And I don't always tell my story. I think everybody, there comes a time in your life where you're comfortable with telling it. And, but until you're in that spot, you know, nobody should ever pressure you to tell your story.
Of course.
So in 1961, my birth mother got pregnant, and she was a teenager at the time, and she was a minor. So they sent her to Children's Aid, you know, at that time. They sent her to Children's Aid because they didn't believe that a minor could take care of a child. So she wasn't given too much knowledge. Other than that, there would be this loving couple there to take her child and to take care of her. So, you know, I always say, you know, she had three choices to make. You know, keep the baby, abort the baby, or put the baby up for adoption. So by the grace of God, I'm here. So she chose to have the baby, and she chose to put me up for adoption. It really wasn't a choice either, because we have to go back to say she was a minor. So I was put into foster care. And I was in foster care for the first 6 months of my life. And then from foster care, I was adopted into a beautiful family. But my life was always seemed a bit like on a roller coaster, and I could never figure out why. And then when I was 7 years old in 1968, a family friend raped me. So back then, it was you could never discuss it, right? My dad never, ever knew. And it was something that, as a society, things like that were kept a secret. Mm. You know, then life proceeded, you know, it just sort of revolved. But I think, you know, I'm 60 years old now, and I can look back on my life, and I think I've had huge transformation, because when you're taken from your birth family or your birth mother at such a young age, you develop fear of abandonment. And a lot of people will say, no, you don't. You do. Everybody I know who's been through the same thing You have that, you know, especially if you've gone into foster care. So again, I was always told I was adopted, but that was never talked about, you know, that I was a foster care infant. And, you know, so different things happen in your life. And so people, I always say, you either, and you probably, with interviewing lots of people, have heard this, you either succumb to what tragedies happen to you,
Yeah.
or you go opposite. You go into flight mode.
You rise above.
And you rise above. And so you become an adrenaline, almost like an adrenaline junkie, you know, to save the world. And I never really realized that about me. Even when I was at 10 years old, I had another trauma. I was out with a group of 6 girls. We broke up into twos. One got kidnapped. Well, 2 got kidnapped. 1 got away. 1 got murdered. And that was at 10. And this is in an upper residential neighborhood. So it doesn't matter where you live. Anything can happen. And I tell that to people all the time. You know, if you don't believe human trafficking is happening in your neighborhood, you're wrong. Mm. You know, it's happening everywhere. So I honestly, you know, I think when I look at it, 13, I rebelled a bit. By the time I was 16, I won the city where I came from, the Volunteer Service Award, youngest ever in its history.
Wow.
Why? Because I'm an adrenaline junkie. You know, you don't realize it at the time. And then, so over the years, I've started to discover more and more about, you know, who I am. And, you know, I've always wanted to save the world. So this is the first time I've really even talked about this online. So I truly wanted to save the world. My granddaughter, when she was born, I wanted to make sure that the world was a better place when I left the world. And the other thing I should talk about too is when you're in flight mode, I have rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. So I got it at a very young age. So when you're in flight mode, we now know I had a genetic history of it, but even your DNA mutates. Okay. Because you're just in a different level. So yeah, growing up, I had the youngest sales agency, I think, in Canada, in the city of Toronto. Sales and marketing agency. Then I got really sick about 12 years after I started it. Stayed at home, took computers. I became a real geek. Love computers. And then I went back to marketing and retired, and then started my own company. And it's called Speak Up and Empower.
Okay. And that's your specialty now?
My specialty now. You know what? I'm working on a project with Gaz called I Will Build Her Confidence. That's one of my big projects. Okay. I believe that, you know, after 60 years, I found my birth family found me.
Wow.
So, you know, I've gone full circle. Okay. And I can now know, like I know now my past, you know, I know everything about me as an individual.
Okay.
But I don't believe I'll ever stop learning. And so I don't believe I just have one passion, you know, that and I think with going full circle, I've learned that I can have many passions.
Yes.
Do you know, and that if I have made changes in so many people's lives. And okay. At the same time, it's now time to make changes in my own life. Do you know? Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned the word limited and limitless.
Yes.
So go and tell us more about. I mean, look, Limitless is my favorite movie.
I know. So I believe that it's not looked at enough, and that I always have every year. I look at 2 words. So right now I'm looking at the words limited and limitless. So when you say you're limited, I don't believe you dive deep inside to find, I call it your God-given skill sets.
Okay.
What makes you unique? What makes you unstoppable? What are your passions? You know, it doesn't matter what's happened to you. It doesn't matter. It's what you do with the tools you're given. So I always say it's be the flame and light your own torch and shine. It's and limitless. So the other thing about limited is, and it's a big problem online right now. So there's so many people out there that call themselves coaches. So we're going to have this conversation. I already said this. There's so many people out there that call themselves coaches, or that, you know, how many people have taken Bob Proctor's course or, you know, somebody else's course? You know, it's not their own God-given skill sets that they've created and they've developed. It's somebody else's thinking. It's somebody else's process, right? And I really would like to see a change in that. You know, I'd like to see people start thinking for themselves and how they can change the world. There's no problem. I think what they're doing wrong is you should have guidance. You should do things like SWOT analysis. You know your analytics. Know what's required of you before you even have a business. But really learn to start thinking for yourself. You know, learn to lead with kindness. And kindness starts with yourself.
Okay. So we've got lots of viewers. Now, one of the songs that we've got, I don't know if you've heard of World Transformation before, but we have a song that encompasses everything you've just said. So what I'm going to do, I always like to play this song at some point.
Yes.
So I'm going to quickly play this song only because it brings tears to my eyes every time I hear it, because this song was created for this day. And I think you'll like the words, okay? So
thank you.
Here we go.
This is a message for everyone who is listening. Hearts and minds connecting, building a world community. This is the moment the people are coming together. Spirit of transformation, reunite in the meaning of we. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, Transformation Day, let's make a difference. You for me, and me for you. This is the moment, the signal, the klaxon, the ringing. Be allowed to awaken, to ignite the passion within. Ready for changes. The spirit is stirred and shaken. Now we are primed to awaken. New chapters for us to begin. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, Transformation Day, let's make a difference. You for me, and me for you. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? we open our eyes, cause we forgot that we could see. We can dream better. We sing it aloud to be the best that we can be. Can be. Can be. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, transformation day. Let's make a difference. You for me and me for you. Transformation. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, transformation day. Let's make a difference. You for me and me for you.
Such a beautiful song.
And you know what? It encompasses what we're talking about, which is how big can you dream?
You
'cause
can't. You
those
can.
dreams,
Mhm.
they come to you. They don't come to anybody else.
Right. And
And-
I started a group. This is online many years ago. It's a really large group. It's we have to look women over 50 who dare to dream big.
Wow.
And so when you hit 50, a lot of women just sort of crash. They crash and burn.
Mm.
But really, that's when your dream should just be starting. You've been a mother, you've been a whatever. I remember in my corporate work and my team, a lot of the guys would say to me, you just keep going. You just keep going. And our moms still can't get out of the kitchen. They
So
can't get out of the kitchen.
what's your secret, Karen? Why is it that you have got this get up and go? Because look, from what you told me, you haven't had favorable circumstances, and that you could quite easily use those circumstances as excuses, right?
Yes.
So what was it that if somebody's watching this today, how can you get rid of those excuses and move forward and light your own flame?
I believe that you always need to educate yourself. Education is the key and it's one of the big keys to dreaming. Because if you don't educate yourself, you don't know what's going on in the world. Not what the news tells you, but what truly is going on in the world. And so education is key. My other one is impact. So I always wanted to impact people, to leave them better than when I found them or when I met them.
Yeah.
And then 3 is visibility. Because in a world, if you're not part of communities and you're not visible, you have this sort of hole. It's an example earlier. We were talking about NFTs, and so the NFTs that are sold for the highest amount of money. So today, what I can't remember the figure. It was like crazy amount, 7.9 million, 6 NFTs sold for. And why did they sell for that? It was all community driven.
Okay.
So I build communities.
Okay.
I build networks. And I think if you feel that you're visible, if you feel that what you're doing is important and that you are loved and that you stand by your own convictions, then you're going to leave this world and be a lot happier in your life.
Of course. So for our viewers, we like to give them some kind of action that they can take that's gonna make something work. And I can tell you're not someone who talks. You walk and talk, and you do it.
Yeah, I speak my truth, and it doesn't always help me. I'm going to be honest; it doesn't always help me, because with the way society is right now, we've put a lot of hope in people that really shouldn't have our hope.
Okay.
You know, like we should be helping the Mother Teresa's in the world and supporting them instead of the Britney Spears. So that might get me into a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah,
So,
she is making the headlines, isn't she?
yeah.
But
So
I guess look, this is trivia, right? This
it's
is
trivia.
the distraction of the
Mhm.
television.
Yeah, it's
live
trivia. But I think if I was to leave anybody, it's just believe and have faith in you. Believe and have faith in you, and not worry what somebody else has to say, or if they tell you how to do something. You know, find your inner love and your inner skill sets and develop them, you know, because you yourself are unique. You know, there's only one Disney Taylor in the world.
You're right, yeah.
Just like you, right? So yeah, so take advantage of those moments. And I know, you know, sometimes it's really hard. You know, things happen and they may not go as smoothly as we want them to. But I have a tip I do. So this is my tip. I want to leave it. I call it the power of 3.
Okay.
So I'm a firm believer in the power of 3. So whatever I do in my life, I do it in 3s. 3 initiatives, 3 marketing platforms, even when it comes to my own life. So if something happens and it's really bad, I give myself 3 hours or 3 days. I can kick, scream, punch the pillow, whatever. But I only give myself 3.
Okay.
And it's worked for me. You know, it makes everything manageable. And, you know, with Build Her Confidence, we're going to be doing a lot of that, you know, type of work. But, you know, even with Build Her Confidence, sometimes we forget about that. There's so many people in the world that don't even have the basic necessities.
Yeah.
You know, like women in feminine hygiene, right?
Yeah.
You know, as women, we have not moved ahead in 25 years. And in fact, COVID brought us back. So
speaking of COVID, I mean, look, the whole world's gone through a massive transition. What can we say? What advice can we give to people who are not seeing COVID as a saint, who are not seeing, because for me, the one thing that everybody needs, the one common denominator to improve anything in life is time. Okay.
Yes.
And most people have always said, I don't have the time. Well, guess what? You got given a minimum of 3 months. What did you how did you use your time?
I know.
So I learned 3 things. I learned how to grow vegetables.
Yeah.
I learned how to be a dad. And I learned about cryptocurrency. 3 new things that I learned. And one thing I learned many years ago was, if you want to stay excited as an adult, you have to learn new things.
You do.
Most adults, once they leave education, they don't learn anything new. And they go into this routine where they go to work, they come home, and they don't learn anything new. Therefore, there's no excitement. You repeat the same things over and over again. Because, I mean, the last 18 months, I've been so excited because I've learned loads of new things.
Yeah.
And as a result, my circumstances have changed. So I remember listening to Jim Rohn the other day, and he says that in order for your destination to change, you have to change your direction. Okay.
Yes.
Because your direction is going to determine where you end up. We can all analyze our own selves, activities. If you're spending more than you're making, your financial future doesn't look too great.
Yeah.
If you're eating too much today, you've chosen to weigh too much tomorrow. It's not common. It's not rocket science to figure that out. So what can we say to the people who are, I know you're in Canada, right?
Right. We've been in lockdown a lot.
So, look, what can we say to people that are in Canada right now that are on lockdown to say, look, how can we give them hope?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is we need to go back to valuing our family and the love in our family. And this is a tough one for me, is separating technology from my family. My 6-year-old granddaughter wants to play board games. So getting back to more basics forms of communication. I think that's really, important. And to, if they base it on just 3 things, what they can do different, what will make them feel better, what will make them be a better person, they're not going to have that sense of being overwhelmed. And then financial, it's, and what you want and what you need are 2 different things. The wisdom comes in knowing the difference.
Okay, so how do we get that wisdom for somebody who doesn't know? Where would you point them?
So I would get them to start journaling. Start journaling. Start making notes. This is what I want. This is what I need. This is how much my wants cost. This is how much my needs cost. Everything it goes back to being heart-centered and analytics.
Okay.
So start looking at your numbers, and having multiple streams of income. I think I'm in 2017, I was part of Gateway 17. I was the oldest woman there. So you had to separate fear. That was with Jack Ma and Shopify and everything. So here we are in 2022. So I put myself into another really uncomfortable situation for me, because it is a huge learning curve. But I'm learning about crypto now. I'm learning about NFTs. I'm learning about blockchains and Ethereum, right? And so going into this room, the first time I went into a room of about 20,000 people, and you'll 95% of them are men, I would say. 5% are females. So I asked a general question because I'm a techie. I said, why is it that you can't right click? Why is it, that you can right click an NFT on OpenSea or something like that? All of a sudden, because I asked a question, I probably had 1,000 comments, because these guys didn't know where I was coming from. But it put me into a world that really I'm not totally comfortable with yet.
Okay.
It's a huge learning curve, but sometimes those moments of feeling uncomfortable actually help you grow. And I don't ever plan to, and then they'll say to me, you don't look that old. How old are you? And I'll say I'm 60. And they'll go, what?
60?
You're the oldest woman in here too. Like everybody likes to tell me.
I hope I have your energy when I'm 60, because I've got a while to go yet.
But sometimes when you're uncomfortable, it's the beginning of greatness.
Yes. Now look, the circumstances that you started your life in, one of the organizations that benefits from world transformation is there's a school in the slums of Delhi. And one of the things that we've done is we've partnered up with a school where they teach personal development, yoga, meditation
Love that.
to the children and the parents, because what they found was the parents were saying that what's the point of giving our children education because they're never going to leave the slum. So what the parents coming to the school are getting personal development so they can change their belief system. And last month we had one of the girls that was born in the slum has now got a computer science degree. We have another girl from the slum who's now teaching, doing a PhD in yoga studies. So I'm going to play another video because these are the people that are benefiting from all the work and awareness. I actually shaved my beard off. I had a beard that went down to my waist. I could have easily said Gandalf is my granddad and everyone would have believed me. So let me just share this because this is the cause that has brought us all together. So I'll just quickly.
This is a personal appeal to all our friends and family around the world. In April 2018, we launched World Transformation Academy right in the heart of the slum in New Delhi in India. On a regular basis, we have both the slum children and their parents being transformed with sessions of life coaching, yoga and meditation. Regularly up until now, we have between 500 to 600 people attending these sessions every month. The cost is approximately about £1,000 a month. Our vision is to expand this to all slums around the world.
So we've been able to do this work with the help of our generous sponsors. But what we'd like to do now is to continue and expand the work that we're doing, is to open the opportunity out to more people to get involved. So if this is something that you would like to get involved in, please connect with the World Transformation Organization, or you can make a donation, whether it's a monthly payment or a one-off payment, using our Just Giving link.
Did you know over 65 million people live in slums all over India, and 6 million of them are children? There are more rapes and suicides in slums than anywhere else in India. We want to impact these figures with your partnership. So we really need your help right now. This is a personal appeal to all of those that love making a difference. We urge you to generously contribute to our cause through the Just Giving link, and watch the 6-minute video that follows this just to get a real feel of the difference that your money will make. This is an amazing cause. We look forward to your partnership.
I live in Kalkaji slum area, and I want to be an IPS officer. I want to stop the crimes and rapes for girls and these things. I want to change my sister's life.
17% of women experienced some form of physical violence in the past year. Individual factors related to the husband, like poor socio-economic status, consumption of alcohol, extramarital relationships. Reported cases vary from domestic violence to brutal rapes, mental harassment to sexual violence. Many more cases go unreported. A woman is raped every 20 minutes in India, National Crime Records Bureau.
I'd like to narrate a small incident that one of our volunteers narrated to me. She said that there was this young lady who had come over for her 3 introductory sessions of meditation. And on the 3rd day, when she had a one-on-one session with a trainer, she broke down completely and she said that, last night I wanted to commit suicide because my husband is a gambler, he doesn't work, and whatever money that I get home, he takes it all and spends it all in gambling, and there's no use of my life. My life has been a struggle, and her mother-in-law was so scared and petrified that she sat beside her throughout the night, scared that she would take that extreme step. And in the morning she got up, she got dressed, and she came for her meditation session.
About 800,000 people commit suicide worldwide every year. Of these, 135,000, 17%, are residents of India, a nation with 17.5% of the world's population. Almost 6 million children live in the slums of India and has the highest rate of child sex ratio. 8.9% of the total victims of rape were girls under 14 years of age, while 16.1% were teenage girls 14 to 18 years. Over 65 million people live in the slums of India. Slum dwellers usually earn $1,900 a year. Young slum girls on their way to defecate in the open fields are abducted, raped, and at times hung from a tree, as in the case of the murder of 2 minor Dalit girls in Badon village near Delhi. Since the launch of its personal development school in the New Delhi slum, World Transformation Organization, through its regular life coaching, meditation, yoga, and motivational training, has started to transform the lives of slum children and their parents. For the first time in their lives, the slum community is being taught how to create dreams and goals, and have started their journey to realize them.
I think you'll agree it's a very important story, Karen.
It breaks my heart. It just literally, like I Will Build Her Confidence is becoming global. It's we have a chapter now out in India, which is going to be under karma. So I'm going to introduce you to, she's a miracle maker, real community collaborator in India. So I'll have to introduce you to Duani Jane.
Perfect.
And then we have, in Africa, we have another young girl, Mary Mumo. And it's just, it's so global. It breaks my heart that any little girl has to live that type of life. And, I think we need to raise men who are accountable for their actions. We need to, and I think if I can change anything in the world, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, the actual awareness and the accountability of men around the world.
Thank you. Well, Karen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I love your energy. I love your glasses and the black and red. And,
Thank you.
I look forward to doing some more work.
Yeah, I do. I'd really like to. We have what we call initiatives. So we have another one out of India called Dear Sunshine. So with Dear Sunshine, we've brought together, an organization has brought together artists and musicians and from the streets. And they now have formed a symphony.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's another initiative. So the more the world becomes aware of what's going on around the world, Duani Jane is like a miracle maker. In Delhi, during COVID, she arranged, if you go to our site and you look up under COVID, karma, she arranged to have all these oxygenators.
Wow.
And she's like, wherever we could get her speaking, she spoke and talked about the need. And if one young girl can create these miracles, what can we do if we collaborate together?
Of course. Well, Karen, thank you for sparing some time to share this awareness amongst everyone in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the world. That was Karen. I am Dizzy.
And speakupandempower.com if you want to know more information. And we'll have your website. We'll link your website on ours.
Perfect.
So, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.